Coming to a YouTube channel near you.
What's happening, everybody? How are we doing on the old podcast tonight? We are working on a little technical issue here. Hoping everybody's having a good Friday night. Been a minute. Lots going on. But let's see if we can get this mouse under control. There we go. Get the comments. Say hi to Linda, who's here. Katie's here. Curtis, how we doing? Joanne, it's been a hot minute, everybody. So lots going on. Obviously, we had Memorial Weekend. We also had puppy problems. We have a co-host tonight because somebody, this guy right here, say hi, Bear, refuses to stay outside without barking. So the little Wookiee wannabe is co-host for the moment till we get his playpen ordered and he can sit in here nicely. Hope everybody's getting ready to have a good weekend. And, you know, we had a holiday weekend in there. We've had all kinds of good stuff happening. I had Comic-Con in there, which I had a great time. We're going to go through some pictures of that. Even still got some remnants of it, just in case the co-host gets a little barky. Anyway, and we're going to be doing another Comic-Con in July, I believe. So we're thinking about going with this version of Wolverine. Midwest Bigfoot Researchers, Mr. Randy, how we doing? Look at busted these out just for you, my friend. We'll get Wolverine and Batman, or Hulk and Batman together at some point in time very, very soon. So we can't wait for that. And hopefully things are going to settle down now and we're going to get on a regular schedule. We got some cool stuff coming up. We have Mr. J Mac from Bigfoot Input coming on the 27th, I believe. He's only done one podcast. It wasn't such a great experience from what I understand, so he's been kind of reluctant to do it. But I know everybody here will show him love just like they always do, and you guys are kind enough to show me, so he's willing to come on. Guy has some of the greatest pictures I've seen, and I'm surprised they're not making more of the rounds on the internet and making more noise than what they are. But the guy runs a cool web, YouTube channel. Sorry, excited to be here with you guys after all this time. And so check out Bigfoot Input. He will be here the 27th, and he's going to bring some stuff to share, some stuff he hasn't put on his channel yet. So it'll be a great time. Speaking of great times, we went to Comic-Con for the first time and dressed up. My little partner in crime couldn't go, but that was okay. We still went and did it anyway and wound up having a much better time than I could have imagined. I never dreamed so many people would get into me doing the whole Wolverine Logan thing. We've got to differentiate here. Logan, old man Logan, too old to be Wolverine and not enough hair anymore to do him. So we just went with old man Logan, and we'll show some pictures. It was a great time. Lots of friends there, made new friends. So, of course I had to find the only Deadpool there. So everybody's listening. This is me. Got stopped several times, at least twice, for the claws. They safety checked me, which is, okay. I can understand why, because it was the only Deadpool there too. I was so bummed. Not that it wasn't nice to get a picture with a Deadpool, but he was the only one there. And I was the only Wolverine, believe it or not. With Wolverine and Deadpool being the way it was, I figured for sure that was going to be dozens of them everywhere, and I was going to pale in comparison to everybody, but I was the only one. I even made security radio, believe it or not, because as I was talking to a gentleman, over the radio came, there's a big buff Wolverine walking around. Somebody checked his claws, and two people jumped on and said, "We already got him." So that was a funny and a little stroke to my ego at the same time. Some other pictures, got my pictures with the Ghostbusters. I really wanted to put the claws up to Steak Puss Man's marshmallows, we'll say, but they wouldn't let me get that close with these claws. So we had some fun there. This was the highlight of my day. I had my picture taken with a guy, and then this little kid wanted pictures taken with him too. So it was a blast. That one touched my heart. Still get tears into my eyes looking at that. Literally just roamed for hours. I only intended to stay maybe an hour, and I think we were there 3 or 4, just because there were so many people with so cool costumes. I'm not going to bore you guys with all of it, but the last one I'll put up of it was, this would be a good fight no matter where you're going to go. I think you got Punisher, you got Logan. He's got the pew-pews, but at the same time, I got a little size on him, so I think I could take him. Maybe. The Jessica Rabbit, on the other hand, that he had with her was quite the bombshell. She was Jessica Rabbit all the way, and we'll leave it at that. So hopefully everybody is doing well. As you can see, I had a blast. Was able to start Bigfooting again a little bit. Was able to get out and see if we can find those pictures real quick. Because if you've watched the videos in the past, maybe you've seen pictures of this pipe that I was talking about. And let's see if I can bring it up. Here we go. So This is the famous pipe I've talked about. Famous one we put peanut butter in. Famous one that now little gifts get left, maybe. I don't, hypothetically, allegedly. There we go. Allegedly, there are gifts being left, and this pipe has been shuffled around in the last couple of years. It's crazy. I don't know how it gets moved, but anybody with any type of strength and conditioning knowledge or just raw power in general, I can't pick the front part of this up. And for me to do a rack pull, Randy picked it up. It's heavy. It is. It's heavy. So for this thing to be just picked it up, and originally it was way up here, like you can see it. Anyway, it was way up by the tree on the right, all the way on top of the hill. Last one in the picture. And then it got shuffled about 100 feet to the left last year and set up on 2 logs. And then this year it gets shuffled halfway down the hill, and there's an X on top of it. So the last time I was out there last year, we left a fish bowl with some rocks with a ghost energy drink or rehydration drink in it, and left it in the pipe. Saw the pipe had been moved, went back to where it was, and the fish bowl had been pulled out and left. The energy drink was empty and the rocks were gone. So we went out 2 weeks ago, found all that, and then as of last weekend, I tried to repeat the same trick with this being in a different location. Nothing had been touched, but there were lots of other things that had been touched out there. There were let's see, lots of imprints. I mean, imprints everywhere. Holy crap. It was pretty astounding how big they were too. Someone had some big feet that was walking around out there. It's going to be really hard to show in the pictures, but whoops. To show you, give you an idea here. So this was the heel, and I brushed this away, and whatever it was actually heavy enough. You can see above my foot about a foot's length, because I can't point it. I'll learn how to do that. I brushed it away. It actually looked like the faint outline of toes at the very top. So that, to me, puts that thing around the 23-inch ones that we've been finding over the last couple of years. And they were everywhere. They had definitely been around. There were some Midwest Bigfoot researchers, Sasquatch, probably like to make sounds through the pipe. Anything's possible, that's for sure. I mean, it would be kind of a big megaphone to them. And then, yeah, there was all kinds of weird little clear spots too. Like, we called them butt prints. It looks like something had sat down, and there were several sizes next to each other. So you don't know quite what to make of it. I didn't put any pictures on here yet. Over the next weekend, go out there and get some more pictures, and next week we'll talk a little more about everything that has happened so far. Tonight is kind of just a catch-up stream as to what's going on. Like I said, we did the Comic-Con, we had the Bigfoot. The activity seems to have started up. The co-host seems to have gone to sleep on my lap. And So with everything going on, it sounds like everybody's got a lot going on right now. People got graduations, people got open houses. Uh, you know, Grizzly and Mary moved. You know, thankfully they're hopefully done with everything now, and things are going to settle down for them. And we're going to work more on I am going to work more on putting out, you know, some decent content on here for them, and also doing some side stuff over on Midnight Lycanthropy, doing quite a bit over there. So check out Midnight Lycanthropy as well to catch me on some things. But this is always going to be the main Bigfoot. So if you want to hear Bigfoot and other things, this will be the main spot. And, something I tried today, I thought I would talk about is because I did mention that I would talk about the sugar diet. So that goes contrary to everything you would ever think about dieting. We'll touch on sugar diet and then we'll get back into Bigfoot a little bit, but it was something I decided to try. And, what the sugar diet is, if you haven't heard of it, which a lot of people haven't, is fruit, maple syrup, honey, candy. They say you can get away with soda, but I don't know if I would push that button. And yeah, not Pop-Tarts, I wish. Anything without fat. So what you're doing is you're consuming a whole lot of sugar with fruit and the candy, maple syrup, honey, maple sugar, and some vegetables you can get away with, as long as there's no fat. So, and that's where I got caught up in the sugar diet. I thought that was it. And I did try it. Being a type 2 diabetic, I was nervous about it. And Standing Stones, hello. And I got through a day and a half of it, and then all of a sudden I got a blood sugar spike, felt like crap. So researched it further, was able to get in touch with a couple people who are pushing this thing. And I did it wrong. I started off wrong. Imagine that. Even after 2 days of deep diving on YouTube, Mark Bell, check him out. That's probably the safest way to get involved in this whole sugar diet. Old Bear, Ohio. Ooh, sorry. That's what happens when my glasses are getting bad. Ohio Bigfoot researchers, how we doing? Now that we're getting Bigfoot people in, we'll go back over to the Bigfoot activity. But I want to touch on this sugar diet because it is very interesting. The fact that I weighed 255 on Monday. I did a day and a half of the sugar diet and then modified it so that, because after talking with people who know way more about it than I do, the type 2 diabetics especially have to ease into it. So you need to do what they call the maintenance level sugar diet, where you actually have sugar all day with your fruits and fruit juice, your honey, your maple syrup, and then at night you have protein and starch, whether that's rice or potato or something like that. But you can also dress that up with any type of non-fat dressing, so you can use soy sauce, you can use ketchup, you can use barbecue sauce. Even though it's chock full of sugar, it is fat-free and you can use it. And once I started doing that, I did sugar diet during the morning, and then I would do the protein and starch at night, and I feel much better. Blood sugar is back under control, and I was 255 Monday morning, and I'm 248 right now. So in 5 days, I lost 7 pounds, And I'm telling you, when I say eat sugar and candy, I'm not kidding. I would have a big bowl of blueberries and strawberries, or some blueberries and bananas, pour some maple syrup on it, pour some honey on it, and that would be breakfast. Lunch, I might throw some applesauce and strawberries or blueberries and honey and maple syrup, and that would be lunch. If you get hungry, you can eat like candy. I was eating, a couple packs of Nerds and drinking fruit juice. You're supposed to have like 3 or 4 feedings a day that way, and then that's during the sugar fasting, which I made the mistake of jumping into. The more sugar fasting days you can put together, the more weight you'll lose. But being type 2 diabetic, again, I have to ease into this. So what I did was modify it. And so now I do 3 or 4 sugar during the day, bowl of fruit, maple syrup, honey, fruit juice. Today I've not had any candy. I haven't had the stomach for it, believe it or not. And then at night, I'll have 2 meals of a very lean protein source and a starch, which I usually use potatoes, because a lot of people will use rice, but with diverticulosis, rice is not a good idea. And the weight's coming off. You don't track the calories. Obviously, if it gets out of control, as long as the scale is moving down, you don't worry about it too much. And it is contrary to everything I'd ever been taught. I thought for sure I'd be gaining weight like crazy. How Bigfoot researchers eat 2 boiled eggs for breakfast, a glass of water, 2 boiled eggs for lunch, supper, eat a small meal, milk, nothing fried, all you need to lose weight, all you want in a few months. And you can do that. This is just another tool. Make sure I read all that. Another tool to use, carnivore diet works. It's proven. Keto diet works, proven. Counting macros works, proven. I've done carnivore, I've done keto, and I do have a sweet tooth. So, especially keto, once you start incorporating carbs on keto, it's so easy to put the weight back on. Where with the sugar diet, it was very weird, because when I started, I was actually doing the sugar fasting, where you're just doing sugar all the time. And, people with health issues like mine, you shouldn't try to do as many days as you can. You should break into it, maybe 1, and then with the protein and the starch, then maybe another protein diet, protein meal, things like that. And so that is what I'm doing. But they say, everybody says their diet's the best. But this one is very easy for me to stick to. What's bizarre was after doing the fruit and the candy and fruit juice, by the second day, I was craving barbecue chicken. I wanted a can of chicken or a chicken breast or something like that. I wasn't craving cheesecake or anything sweet. I was craving protein. So that was a very bizarre feeling. And like I said, even now, after doing all the fruit and stuff, you can eat candy if you want to. I just have no desire to anymore. I've had enough Nerds and gummy worms and gummy bears, all of which are good sources and perfectly fine to eat. I would just rather do the fruit and fruit juice at this point, a big shaker bottle full of orange juice or something like that. And it works. So easing into it, from what I've read and understand now, is people who have type 2 diabetes. Obviously, that means you are producing insulin, but you are insulin resistant. Now, why are you insulin resistant? From everything I've gathered, I learned something new. It's because fat is occupying that receptor and the insulin can't work, which is why a lot of obese people, pardon me, when they lose weight, they're able to come off their medications. That just means the fat is no longer occupying that receptor. The insulin is able to get to it, and you're able to reduce or come off completely. Type 1 diabetes is a whole nother issue. Don't do that diet, unless you know how to micromanage your insulin. And seems how I'm talking about diets and stuff like that. There's probably something I should flash up here. Because I'm not a doctor. I am just a diehard gym rat who's been personal training since 1986. I worked in the gym, started training people in 88. So was certified most of the time. Let my certification lapse because I'm technically retired now. But I still help people. Oops. I'll help people with nutrition, and I am a human guinea pig and will work on my own weight. And this is something that seems to be able to, you can use, maybe you go a day of keto, maybe you go a day of sugar diet, maybe you go a day of carnivore, whatever it takes to get the weight off and be healthy. Now, how far I will go, I'm going to do this until Comic-Con again, which is July 12th. And then we will see where we're at, how I compare to the costume I did a few weeks ago to the costume I'll do then. And it was kind of funny because on a whim, I decided to do the transformation. So when people see people on TikTok and stuff, there is you always see their transformation photos right now. If you pay any attention, you got the whole natty on that with Greg Doucette and Hassan Farhat. That's a mess in its own. I'm not going to get into it because, like I said, I know we're more Bigfoot and wanted hidden realms at this point behind the scenes. So, but I wanted to show people, don't believe the photos all the time because those guys are picking very select lighting at opportune times and dieting for that one section, because I could take this picture, make sure I get the right one, and can say this is my before photo. Oops. That's not the before photo. Here's the before photo. You can see this guy. And then we could say in 4 weeks, I did the sugar diet and did this. And this is without monkeying with lighting at all. I'm monkeying just with the lighting. Haven't filtered anything like everybody else does. But as you can see after a workout and a tan, the difference. Even I got to kind of grin because the difference in arm size from this to the arm size here after tanning and a workout and just a different lighting is like, damn, that's a big arm. But it's only big when after a workout. So people, when you see these influencers, don't be fooled. They don't look like that all the time. That's why you see so many photos. You don't see them go live unless they're covered up because they look that much smaller, which is opposite of what I do. I don't take pictures of me pumped very often like that picture because I don't want people to see me in person and go, oh, I thought you'd be bigger. Or like in the Star Wars adage, what was it? Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper? So standing stones, I need to strengthen up my right hip muscles. They are strained and never recover. You're in the medical field, my friend, so I'm not even going to throw ideas at you here. I would tell most people as far as go see a physical therapist. And if one physical therapist isn't helping you, go see another one that has different practices. Because there are certain muscles that affect your hips that a massage therapist is going to be really, really hard to get to, because in order to get to those certain muscles, I can't even pronounce the name of them. Medical term, they actually have to dig really deep through the front of your hip and get into where it attaches inside, and it is excruciating to get those muscles worked on. I mean, excruciating. I've had it done twice. I refuse to go back. I will deal with the hip pain. It hurts that bad. Yeah. So you can, if you can suck up the pain and go see somebody, I would do ART personally. That's active release therapy. But again, my opinion only. I am not a doctor. I don't even pretend to be one on YouTube or on the internet. I'm just an old gym rat. But ART is different. If you haven't tried it yet, again, it's another painful one because it's active recovery release technique. And it's another very painful, but I have gotten the best results with it. Another thing, there are supplements out there that can aid you in recovery. I am not recommending this. I am merely saying look up TB 500 and BPC 157. So, from what I hear, allegedly, you take them together. They call it the Wolverine stack. Again, TB 500 and BPC 157. And allegedly, I have tried the TB, and I had tendonitis in my left forearm. I went through physical therapy for 6 months, got no relief. I did the TB 500 for 6 weeks, and I've been pain free since. So, and that tendonitis originated from just gripping weights too hard. So I had to learn how to, basically just use a hook instead of squeeze. That'll save you some tendonitis. Dr. Jim Rat, yeah, exactly. Damn it, Bones. Jam it, Jim. My doctor, not a Jim Rat. Jim Rat, not a doctor. There we go. But yeah, so Bigfoot activity, I talked a little bit about it. It had been a while since I've been out there. We all know I've got some issues, have doctor's appointments coming up, but Sammy Stones, that may be what it is. It could be. It's merely an idea and merely suggestions to look up and do your own research. I can only give you my anecdotal, and trust me, I heard a lot of anecdotal evidence and stories before I tried it. And tendinitis, it could be, where there's a tendon, there could be tendinitis. So TB allegedly worked for me. So a lot of health clinics are starting to use it. So if you can get a script for it, that's great. It is easy to order online, though. Yeah, I went 3 days a week for 6 months, and I got no relief. Matter of fact, there were times when it felt worse, and that's why I just gave up and went the TB route, allegedly. Making sure where the co-host is. He is sound asleep at my feet. No, I don't need him chewing up any Hulk comic books. Bigfoot, what is on the horizon? Getting out more. My surgery's been pushed back into August, so I have to hobble around, but we will make it work. And apparently this something is willing to interact out there. You know, if they're picking up a few 100-pound tubes and moving it around and taking blue rocks and even a couple of grunts, something to that. Also, other things that were found out there, let's bring those up because it seemed to be doing more and more stick stuff. So I did add just a couple of these, like literally walking and finding. To me, I'm guessing it was more like some sort of an alarm system because of the way the sticks were laid out. But the weird thing was it was in a square. Really bizarre. There were 3 or 4 laid out, evenly spaced and parallel to one another, but they were shaped in a rectangle. So you get out to see the Voodoo Dune Squads. Yes, I need voodoo dances to really. Randy and I both have it seems like a Bigfoot curse. So it's been a hard road health-wise for both of us. Prayers for Randy's recovery. Hopefully somebody finally listens to him and gets him fixed because the Bigfoot world needs him. But stick stuff. Let's find it. Here's part of it. And you can see they're laid out, you know, parallel to one another. They're not attached at either end. Evenly spaced. And where you see the one coming across is actually the top. And I backed up and took a picture from the middle of it. You'll have to look close and maybe screenshot and zoom in for this. And because it's a rectangle, or square, however you want to phrase it. I was standing on one side of it, so you can't see the back side. But let's find it here. So there you go, more evenly spaced up. That's actually the right side. Let me see if I even I loaded the wrong picture. Let's see. But again, so you got one side and then the other. Again, more sticks, 3 or 4 of them all laid out. You can see where the stick goes through the middle on the top. Evenly spaced. Now, could a person have done it? Yeah. Why? Don't know. People do strange things for strange reasons. I did not put it on here. Sorry, folks. Anyway, but you'll have to trust me. There's a square. And like I said, next week we'll put together a bunch more. If I don't get a certain guest on that I'm working on, I'm hoping she will come on, though, because then we'll get some Dogman stuff. We'll just have to see what her schedule is like. Let's see. You know, it's funny because I'm going to do this anyway. This is impromptu here. I got kind of a little bit of blowback on this in my DMs about something I posted a couple of weeks ago on my last show. And, you know, being I got a little blowback from it, I want chat's opinion and the viewers' opinions on if I am wrong on this. Because personally, I still believe talking Bigfoot stuff. Ohio, we got you in here, Standing Stones, Midwest Bigfoot researchers. I know you're here. You saw it. You got the sense of humor, but I made a comment and I got a little blowback from friends, mind you, that they actually believe, where's it at? That this guy is real. I'm sure we all know this photo. I don't know how many of you here were for the last show I did, but I called this out. I called bullcrap. I'm not going to say the name, but I did make a comment that I could probably do just as good with a 2x4 carpet marbles for $3. Randy underbid me at $250. So maybe we'll have a build off and see what happens. But I argued that this Muppet and the Muppet who took it are less real than, let's find him. Not me with the pump. Than this Muppet. More real. Better chance of being a Bigfoot than the other one. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I did get blowback from it, which I'm sorry, I found it humorous. Yep, exactly, standing stones. What there is, it makes it made a perfect square. They were all tied together. Yep, the Muppet, Randy. Standing stones, flat face. Exactly. I think they call that one Blinky. It's like they should call him, oh, I can't even think of a good name for it. Maybe we can get one in the chat. But 2x4. Hickory. That's probably what it's made out of. Hickory 2x4. Anyway, but plan going forward is to get out in the woods more. And we are going to have it, like I said, I'm working on a guest who has one of the most incredible Dogman encounters ever and actually has a very good insight on good Dogman encounters, believe it or not, which I am not used to hearing about. So hopefully we can make that happen very soon. We've got Bigfoot input coming on the 27th. Sandy Stone's color, the photo slightly off color, not as white. That whole thing is just off. I mean, speechless. I have to be careful because, I am representing somebody on this show at the moment and I don't want him in trouble. So, but guess what, folks? We are going to do some Rumble. Let's get ready to Rumble because I will be unfiltered on there. So when you see me stutter and pause, the eyes are way too small. Bigfoot doesn't have patch hair like that on the face that I have seen myself either, and they don't have flat black doll's eyes with a flat nose, with a flat mouth that is just, what a wanker that would post that and put as real. Just a freaking wanker. Gotta feed Eddie. Good night, Randy. Good luck with Eddie. Give him a mouth pop for me. Sandy Stones will have someday. I hope to see one. Careful what you wish for, my friend. I know you hadn't. It was either Bigfoot or Dogman jump across the road in front of you. You're not quite sure either, if I remember right. So, Standing Stones has his own paranormal recoveries, that's for sure. Or encounters, not recoveries. But yeah, we got Bigfoot input. We're going to try to have some more guests on here instead of me just ranting for 45 minutes like I seem to have done lately. Reminds me of more of Standing Stones, maybe a Dogman. That's what I thought I remember you saying. I remember hearing about it, you talking about it. So you'll be particularly interested in this person if I can get her on. But that will be a good show. I'm still working on a surprise guest that will. The problem is he causes so much heat when he comes on shows. He's afraid to he's tired of dealing with that. But maybe we can talk him into taking one more for the team now that he's doing some other stuff as well as being famous for a certain incident. Ohio Bigfoot researchers, I have seen a few the past 4 years. Standing Stones in 1971. Oh, I thought it was just a few years ago. Didn't realize it was that long ago. So yeah, if you guys have topics that you want to talk about as well, we are going to be focused mainly on Bigfoot and the experiences that I have there. We are going to do some, obviously, other cryptids and things like that. We will be keeping things on a regular basis. Even if I have to pre-record something because the guest can't come on, then we will just be pre-recorded that night and air it that way. So we'll just do like a reaction video to the interview, and I'll answer questions in chat while we're reviewing it. That's the way I'm thinking anyway. No, that was UFO. Dogman was like 4 years. That's what I thought. I thought that was fairly recent. Anyway, so as we start to wind this down, more guests, more fun, more topics. All different sizes. 2 are around 12 foot tall. It's the largest. That's a big one. That's got to be a male all the way from head to toe. Cannot identify as anything different. I want to see the one we've gotten. I've had seen the 8-footer up close and personal, but I have not seen that alpha with the 23-inch tracks yet. My heart says I want to. My head says it better be under the right circumstances, so I don't become, instead of a 6-foot Wolverine, I'll be like the comics where I'm 4'10" because I get a bonk on the head. So I think we're going to wrap it up, folks. Like I said, we'll keep you updated on. I'm going to do a separate section on my YouTube channel for that sugar diet if people are interested in it. And I continue to learn more as I'm going through this. Like I said, I've already dropped 7 pounds in 5 days, and I feel good. Energy level wise is good. Probably the most energy I've had in quite a few weeks now, especially considering the health. A lot of people were very nervous and scared for me, and I appreciate and love them all for doing that. And like I said, I did learn 2 facts that I want to share with you because they could be affecting somebody that hears this, that wants to try this sugar diet. One, check out Mark Bell. Mark Bell, Skeleton Warrior, is the one who's kind of guiding me right now. He's not a bodybuilder by any means. He's not a power lifter like Mark Bell. And he does have a little different approach, but he's a cyclist. He's an endurance runner. So it's not just me listening to gym rats. It is me listening to everybody who's doing this to get as much information as I possibly can to do this safely. There were 2 facts I did not know. One, as we talked about, insulin resistant just means that your body's producing insulin, but for some reason you can't absorb it. The reason you cannot absorb it is because fat is occupying the receptor, which is why people are able to reverse it by losing body fat. It's not necessarily weight, it's body fat. And crap genetics like me. I wasn't overly obese by any means. Still got type 2 diabetes just because of my genetics. But I do think dropping some body fat and just having to be leaner than the average person, I think that'll change. The other one is, believe it or not, I had heard, and I've heard this for years and years and years, that if you have cancer, you have to avoid sugar because of the way the sugar will feed cancer. That's a myth. It's a proven myth now. Cancer does feed off glucose, but it's an entirely separate mechanism. So you can still eat your sugar and not affect the growth of your cancer. The cancer actually works off obesity. The more obese you are, the less chance you have of recovering, which is why the cancer kind of just does what it does to someone's body. But it's not because of the sugar you're eating. That was one of those myths that I hope I can put to bed for somebody. And, in my heart, I'm still a personal trainer. I have been and always will be. That's my life. That's my passion. My passion is also for Bigfoot. So trying to put as much effort as I can into it because, you tell people you live right, eat right. They talk about having 80 years. Well, you know what? We don't. Cancer will take you much faster. And even if you're afraid of that, the bus coming down the street is going to take you out even faster than that. No one's guaranteed 10 minutes from now. So just live the best quality life you can, the healthiest you can. Look for quality over quantity. Well, how Bigfoot researchers, back to Bigfoot, had one last year less than 8 feet from me and at a research, and we sat on the truck tailgate one night. That's awesome. That sounds like Greg Ogles with the guys in his truck filming that movie. So was that at night or a daytime sighting, Ohio? I want to hear the answer to that before I wrap this up because we're coming up on an hour. And it is that time. It's also time for me to eat my protein and potato because I am freaking hungry. Nighttime. Nighttime's their time, my friend. I think you know that better than I do even. So with that, we will see you next week, folks. And we'll either have a guest or we're going to talk definitely more Bigfoot, as there's a lot going on in the Bigfoot world lately. There's some sightings down in Monroe that were deemed credible by a tracking thing that we'll cover if we don't have our guests. So from coast to coast, around the world, we are going to call it a night.